Now we're up. We weren't up before because there was a little glitch in the matrix. I blame Mickey. Ha ha. But welcome to the show, everybody. Sorry about the lack of opening on some of the other channels, but that's okay. Sometimes the little wait music can be annoying. So, anyways, the situation has been remedied, and I'm glad you're here. And thank you very much for joining me today. And I am live in a Disneyland-like area, taking time away from family to hang out with you because I love you and I appreciate you. So at the very least, with holiday cheer in your heart and a whimsical, sort of guttural laugh in your belly at the response by some of our favorites about the jobs number today, please, oh please, oh please, won't you hit the like button? Whatever that like button looks like, wherever you are. And as I was saying, if you're watching this thousands of years in the future, you're welcome. Because if there is a future, I feel like I played a decent part in making sure it existed in the first place. You know what I mean? Keeping people sane and happy. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe one of my viewers is the person who, clips the green wire instead of the red wire and saves us all. And I don't know why the bomb has Christmas colors, but maybe it's just because it's on the top of my mind. And then, of course, or they'll have a kid who has a kid who has a kid who has a kid who's John Connor. You know what I'm saying? So as long as I can do that, I feel like I'm doing my part. That said, you can do your part. Hit the like, subscribe. There's the Venmo thing up there, and I think it rotates to Cash App. I don't know. I haven't used this setup in a bit, obviously, or it wouldn't be freaking out. Thanks for the hype train. We're at a level 2 hype train on Twitch already. Level 2 hype train. Come on. And we got a lot to cover today because we missed all of Trump's flip outs yesterday. And I'm sorry, but I need, with all that's going on in the world, I need to get my laugh on. Now, I had an enormous laugh this morning at the Newsmax folks and Maria Bartiromo responding to the jobs report. That was glorious. That was lovely. That was a lot of fun. But as Jeff Goldblum would say, bots. I've always noticed that he says but like he's saying bot. Bots. Anyways, there was I know there's one of these. Where is it? It's just the. I'm so enjoying like the fact that apparently, and I don't know if you know this. Yeah, here it is. I don't know if you know this, but let me get this in here. And I need to make sure that you guys can hear that. Did you guys hear that blurb all of a sudden? Hold on one second. Did you hear that trouble? Did you hear that word? Hold on. Because I don't see. Oh, I know why. Because it doesn't go to there yet. Let's go over to here and see these lovely folks. And, ooh, that was fun. There we go. So hopefully, let's see if this works.
Anyone in America probably.
There it is. Okay, excellent. So this is, we'll just jump into this right away, and then we'll get into the Trump fun. On the far right of your screen, that's Maria Bartiromo. And how do you solve a problem like Maria? Apparently, in this case, math and living like a normal person, because these apparently, there are very few people in the world of economics that have two types of kryptonite, and seldomly is one of them math. Sometimes a sort of like aloof, elitist misunderstanding of actual interactions, bordering on the spectrum kind of an attitude is not surprising. You got to be a bit of a sociopath in some of these areas to make money on money as opposed to making money doing something for a friggin' living. And Maria would be one of those people, it seems. And again, few people have turned Karening into a career. As much as I hate that phrase, I think she qualifies. If there was ever a college, she could be the dean of students, who of course gets fired for inappropriate behavior and misappropriation of funds. But that's another thing. And the person in the middle here, that's Jamie Comer, not to be confused with Jamie Summers, who is the Bionic Woman, and was beautiful and had a heart of tin. I'm kidding. Her heart was completely organic, I'm fairly certain. But she was able to jump really high with her mechanical legs on an organic spine without destroying it, which I thought, that is a feat of technological advancement. Although her bionic ear, she had to push her hair out of the way to use it, which it's the one thing it couldn't hear through is hair to her hearing what lead is to Superman's vision? That question has to be asked. But this is Jamie Comer looking, I gotta say, if you'll notice, he's got his shirt unbuttoned, but his tie pulled up. That means that right before he went on the air, his neck was creating a nunt because his face has gotten fatter and he's aware of it. Probably it's Kentucky, so I'm going to go with bourbon. And he undid his collar, so yeah, so that it wouldn't make his neck look fat. Don't tell me how I know that. It's because I think partly it's because every time I see Trump, I wonder why doesn't he? It's really funny. Okay, so anyways, I love this. How long have we been watching this dickhead fool around with this stuff? How long is the laptop stuff, the fake laptop stuff been around? How long? 3 years now? Whatever. Check this out. GOP rep reveals shocking development in Hunter Biden case. This is the tip of the iceberg. So we've been together this long, and now we're just starting to play just the tip. I thought that was something you do early in the relationship. Shouldn't we be past the tip right now, or having written it off entirely? In theory, anybody? No? Okay. So here we go. Jamie Comer introduces Maria Bartiromo to the concept of just the tip.
Has ever been subpoenaed in front of a congressional investigation. I mean, this guy is under investigation for crimes ranging from money laundering to securities fraud and everything in between.
What is in between securities fraud and money laundering? I mean, is that a big spectrum of crimes, or is that a fairly narrow focus? I'm just saying. Right? I don't want to nitpick, but yes, I do. That's what I'm here to do.
Gets voted in contempt of Congress. That's more penalties that he's going to have to pay a price for when his judgment day finally happens.
I see. When his judgment day finally happens, when Hunter Biden is finally judged by his maker, being in contempt of Jamie Comer is going to be right up there with money laundering and securities fraud.
And that was House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer with me right here yesterday on this program, laying out.
He was right here on this program, laying out exactly what they've got. And the great thing about it was he didn't use exactly the same language he's been using every single time he's been on my show ever since this started, with no new real developments that are going to make a goddamn lick of difference. And also, apparently, Jim Jordan subpoena, nothing, not bringing it up. Okay.
Biden's legal woes. Hunter Biden now in even more trouble this morning. He's been indicted on 9 tax-related charges in California.
I love how they're like, here's his mugshot. Still looks better than Trump's. Also, here real quick, how does the weaponization of government stuff go once Hunter has been indicted and his father doesn't intervene?
He's facing up to 17 years in prison for allegedly failing to pay at least $1.4 million in taxes over 4 years and writing off trips to strip clubs as business expenses, among.
Okay, first of all, Trump has written off trips to strip clubs as business expenses. Just for the record, entertaining the kind of people that Donald Trump entertained. I guarantee, that party with Jeffrey Epstein, that is the famous GIF that I'm constantly using on Twitter, on Shitter, sorry. I guarantee he wrote off that party.
Allegations. Hunter's lawyers are out with this statement this morning. If Hunter's last name was anything other than Biden, the charges in Delaware and now California would not have been brought. Joining me right now is Florida Congressman.
Meanwhile, can I point out something real quick? This is Fox Business. This is on Fox Business. Now, granted, Hunter's a businessman, and these are business-related crimes, so I don't have a problem with her covering it. Can you look at the Dow right here? Just real quick. It's up 20 points while she's talking about this. I just love that fact. Can I just say that whenever the the Dow is like up, and she personally knows that her investment holdings are going up while she's selling this horse shit. It's even better. And thanks for the like, and thanks for the follow, and thanks for the love.
Jimenez, he's a member of the House Armed Services, Homeland Security, and Select Committee on China. Congressman,
And he's up to his ass in Lake Michigan.
thanks very much for being here. Some
Or Erie, I don't know. Jesus Christ. The fuck is that?
might say if his name wasn't Biden, he would not have been able to make all this money in the first place. Your reaction?
This is part of the Biden criminal, family criminal enterprise.
Yeah, the criminal family, criminaling crime, and criminally, holy Jiminy.
So, these charges, especially the ones that say that he was living a lavish lifestyle.
Now tell me how Donald Trump is the only man who can save America, pussy grabbing notwithstanding, multiple wives, paying off porn stars, his ridiculous gold laminated curly Q French furniture. Please tell me about lavish lifestyles.
Well, was it a lavish lifestyle, or a lot of that money and you flowed into the family business? And so, we need to keep following this.
Yeah, that's true. This is where we're going to find out. They're this close to finding out that Joe was stripping this whole time. That's why he bicycles so much, is because he's got to keep his abs. Because the side hustle, Joe Biden was, I guess the Magic Mike storyline was based on Joe Biden when he was a young man. And, they made up the whole story about him selling a book to cover the royalties from that movie.
It leads, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is leading to the Biden family, the brother, and the president himself.
What does this mean?
Totally, unfortunately, it's leading to, like, anywhere he paid money to. Clearly, these strippers are all probably, if you really think about it, he was making it rain China money all over these strippers. If there are now, and it's very unfortunate, there are a lot of receipts tying the drug dealers that sold him crack to China. They were basically working for the CCP.
Mr. Hunter's proposed testimony on Wednesday. He was supposed to go behind closed doors on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it means. Will he?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're on. Thanks very much. Thanks. Okay, next expert.
If he doesn't show up, he could be found in contempt of Congress, and that leads to other charges and other.
Real quick, Republicans have a contempt for Congress. Does that factor in at all?
Legal problems for Hunter Biden, but it may be very difficult for him to show up and try to explain where all this money came from. And
no, it isn't. You know where it came from because it went through normal channels.
Why did this money come to him?
Well, which one are we talking about? Burisma, because he was an executive overseeing the spending of all these investment payments, just like Devin Archer, just like Whitey Bulger's son and all that, whatever the fuck they were doing with Rosemont Seneca, just sitting there watching, making sure the money was spent where it was supposed to be spent so the investors could trust it. And because of his last name, Biden, he couldn't fuck off to Russia like everybody else had in Ukraine's history previous to that. Or, something else.
And where, in fact, did all this money go to? Why did he have at least 20 shell companies that we know?
He didn't have 20 shell companies. It's not even, they don't even pretend that that's the case. Stupid, at least get that part of it right. The whole family has companies. The kids, if anybody who has a fucking Etsy has a corporation, it's fucking Delaware, you dipshit. Like, everyone in Delaware has a corporation. It is literally what the state is best known for. It is the incorporation state, stupid.
And so, the more that he talks, the more avenues will now be open for additional investigation. I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg here. I don't think we've gotten to the bottom yet.
Yes, I got news for you. I think what you need to do, because you definitely are at the bottom. This is definitely the bottom. and you're going to have to, I guess, work your way up to the tip. I mean, I guess that's how most people do it.
Maybe, but the president says he has no idea about any of this, that he's not involved in any of this. The House Rules Committee will consider a resolution to formalize that impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden on Tuesday of next week. The 14-page resolution.
You know what you guys should really do? If you really want to time this right, try and release the impeachment paperwork right when the next jobs report comes out. It's just, follow me on this. What you want to do is you want to release it on that Friday, same day as the next jobs report, because I guarantee it'll line up so well with your narrative.
Lays out rules and public hearings and directs the committees to produce a public report on their findings.
They literally, by the way, after Santos is gone and Kevin McCarthy steps down, the Republicans have a one-vote majority in the House. One. They, honest to God, and this is why, like, MTG was like, hope nobody dies, because if somebody dies, they literally lose their majority. If somebody passes out or quits or switches parties or any of that shit between now and the next election, on the Republican side, they literally, like, they're done. They lose their majority.
Biden's former business partner, Tony Bobulinski, told me that he wants some answers from President Biden.
So what? Who was willing to die for this great country and held the highest security clearance issued by the Department of Energy. Issued by the Department of Energy. Simmer down, buddy. You had the highest security clearance issued by the Department of Energy. Okay. Why is Joe Biden blatantly lying to the American people? Well, I don't know why you're lying to the American people. This fucker didn't even meet Joe Biden until 2017 when he was no longer vice president.
He released this statement yesterday. He sent me this statement, and I want to read it to you. I am a former decorated naval officer who was willing to die for this great country and held the highest security clearance issued by the Department of Energy.
And then I went to work with Whitey Bulger's nephew and Hunter Biden and Devin Archer, and I worked with them for about a year, and they kicked me to the curb because I was a loudmouth asshole who couldn't get anything done. And
why is Joe Biden blatantly lying to the American people and the world by claiming that he did not meet with me face to face? He should call his son Hunter and brother Jim, as they can remind him of the facts. The American people deserve the truth.
With an exclamation point. Also, meeting him face to face, by the way, and knowing and working, understanding, or being a part of Hunter's businesses are two separate things. So this is an artificial conflation. This is like it's like the debate tactic where you use a word that has two meanings, right? And secondly, asshole, when he met you, it was after he was no longer in office. After he's in office, all bets are off. You can complain that it might feel unethical to you, or you might feel like it was going someplace unethical. You have no reason to prove that it did, but you can feel that. I don't give a shit. I don't care. You could clamor with it. You could go, and maybe here's the thing. Tony Bobulinski was one of the people who was like, we can sell your dad's influence. He was one of the people insisting on it. And still to this day, this motherfucker is trying to sell his value based on having met Joe Biden. That's what this statement is. Bobulinski's probably, in circles trying to go, I once met with Joe Biden. He owes me some fucking favors. If I need to get some shit done, believe me, I got an ace card. If you do a business deal with me, I can yank Hunter's chain or Joe's chain and make this happen, when he can't.
When Tony Bobulinski was a partner of Hunter Biden, and he told me yesterday, of course he's met Joe Biden. What is Joe Biden?
Notice the difference. Oh my fucking God. Read the bottom part of that. Hunter Biden's ex-business associate Tony Bobulinski demands President Biden stop lying about 2017 meeting. This is the conflation of stuff that happened when he was office or when he wasn't in office, and whether or not meeting him means being in business with him. And Bobulinski has been selling this idea that he was going to be partners with fucking Joe Biden, and it never fucking happened. And it's one of the reasons he apparently got kicked to the curb by Hunter and Devin Archer and everybody else at this fucking company. This is disgruntled employee shit. But again, it's 2017. Who gives a shit?
President of the United States' role in all of this.
Yeah, he wasn't president of the United States when he had a role in any of this, and he wasn't vice president either. He was a retired public official.
I think Joe Biden is the brand, and the only.
All right, fuck you. The name is the brand because it's trustworthy. If it's not trustworthy, it ain't a fucking brand. Trump's brand is faux luxury, and you can slather it on anything, and some dipshit somewhere will think it's, you know, it's like Balenciaga or some shit, like low end Balenciaga to somebody, but or going to a W hotel versus a Holiday Inn or some shit like that. That's what the Trump brand is. It doesn't even have anything to do with him as a person. It's this illusion of quality because of glitz that came with it. The Biden brand is trustworthiness. It has been. That was the point. Hunter couldn't, in many ways, people thought he couldn't be trusted because he was an addict and he had a lot of problems. But he was skating on the fact that his dad was vice president and would only let him fuck up so much. There would be a safety net there for him as a human being, and he wouldn't bug off. He could not run off with your money. He could not pull a DB Cooper and split with your cash because of the brand, because of his dad, because of the Biden name, because of his brother. Ugh. Just so stupid.
And that Hunter Biden was making all this money that he had to evade taxes for was because his father was the vice president of the United States. And so, you know, the Biden name has been the brand and has been the brand for.
Again, okay, here's the other thing. Let's say you've got a money-making scheme set up and your dad is vice president and you've got this whole 10% for the big guy, blah, 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 blah. You know, you're running this side hustle while your dad is vice president of the United States and he's getting a chunk of it. Do you pay taxes on it? Do you make sure every T you can cross is crossed and every I you can dot is dotted? Because if you're hiding something already and your dad is the vice president of the United States and the scheme just requires the bare minimum of business, of course you would pay the fucking taxes on it. It's not like the money is going into mystery bank accounts or fucking. It didn't go to the Caymans, for Christ's sake. The money didn't go into foreign banks. It went to local American regional banks.
Time, and so, you know, for Joe Biden to blatantly lie to the American people and said he had no idea what his son's business interests were.
Yeah, that's not what he said.
That he never met with any of his business.
Hi, everybody. Oh, you got some. Oh, yeah, you got Oswald ears. Those are good. They look like Mickey ears, but you're excited to see me.
I made it like bendable.
Oh, yeah. Summer got Oswald ears. Here, come here. Lean in. Let him see it.
Ears?
Yeah. Hold on. She's coming over. Give me a second. Hold on. There she is. She got Oswald ears. They're good.
They're pretty good.
They're good. They're solid. Yeah, I like them. Yeah, and they're bendy. It's good. Hi. Showtime. So they're just going. You guys gonna hang out in there and watch TV and crash?
I don't know if they're going back to what, but
Okay.
I'm chilling for a minute.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You'll.
Curtains behind
Huh?
you?
What?
Can we close the curtains behind you?
That'd be lovely. Sure. That just moved. Like the sun just kind of moved over the last little bit.
Get through their fort.
Yeah, I know. It's the tough part. Hi. Oh, and Ethan, everybody says happy birthday from earlier. I wanted to, yeah. Okay. And sorry you guys only get to hear half of the conversation because you're not going to hear what I'm reacting to, so it's going to sound extra crazy. Yeah. As per usual.
As partners, we all know that's a blatant lie. We have testimony, we have evidence that he met with them dozens and dozens of times, different partners from around the world. And so, yeah, Bobulinski is
Bobulinski?
absolutely right. The President of the United States has been lying to the American people. But hey, the President of the United States has been lying to the American people for 40 years.
And I guess, is that how you get ahead or whatever? I guess that's why this is why this guy's career. Whoops. I guess this is why this guy's career is stalling out.
Is that better or too dark?
I don't know. It got choppy all of a sudden. I don't know if that's the Wi-Fi.
Me closing the.
No, yeah, I was just changing I think my software was like reacting. It turned me orange.
Oh,
Yeah, it's okay.
Turn it off.
No, it's fine.
Open it again.
It's okay.
Is that okay?
No, it's just changing. It'll take a second because it has to adapt. That's fine.
Change that one.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
We're okay, I think. We got a little choppy there for a second. We're okay.
Sure, I opened the windows again.
Yeah, the window shut. Apparently, the Wi-Fi comes in through the window. No, we're fine.
This is nothing new. This is what he does and what he has done through his entire political career.
Well, do we know?
And Carlos, you've been in the House in Florida for how long?
How America has been impacted. In other words, was he getting paid for making policy decisions in favor of adversaries or?
Well, let's find out. That I think, Maria, that's the magical question, isn't it? I think the important thing is that to show bribery, extortion, or any kind of leverage that either China has on him or he's offering to them, or any blackmail they might have against them, you would have to find something he did ever that was not in line with the interests of the United States or either his constituents, the president's office when he was vice president, or any of the committees that he was on anywhere. I mean, at this point, what are you going to come up with? What do you think? The crime bill? You think the crime bill was a backhanded trick to help China?
Like China.
Yeah, like what?
Well, listen, I've said all along that none of what President Biden has been doing since he became president makes sense unless
the CHIPS Act, the infrastructure bill, the rescue package, the Inflation Reduction Act. Okay.
you it through that lens.
Unless you view it through, how does it help China? Well, I don't know. Have you looked at China's economy lately? The whole country is collapsing. We're taking Taiwan's side more directly than we ever have. How is that on China's side? We are helping some of the pro-democracy people that were in Hong Kong escape so they're not tortured to death. How is that helping China? Our companies have stricter rules on them in dealing with slave labor coming out of China. How's that helping China?
How he's
And by the way, just simply, how is it, to refashion an old American quote, is China better off now than it was 3 years ago?
And we know that he's received money from Ukraine, China, Russia, Uzbekistan, and a bunch of
Uzbekistan? No, Uzbekistan.
places.
I think he means Uzbekistan.
And so, yeah, it makes absolute sense that maybe the President of the United States could
This is the evidence. $20 million in payment from foreign sources. Okay, not evidence. Also, he didn't get $20 million in payments. A good portion of that is investments that never even were Hunter's. He just oversaw them. Hunter Biden's messages and infamous D.C. dinner. I guess they're going with the WhatsApp messages. Again, 2017, 2018. And whistleblower testimony didn't amount to a hill of beans.
compromise. That's why we need to have this inquiry, and the people of America, America needs to know exactly where
What the fuck are you talking about?
the president stands.
Congressman, let me.
Where does the president stand? Right now he stands with Ukraine and Israel. Where do you stand?
To another issue, and that is an explosive hearing with several university presidents this
Explosive.
and your colleague Elise Stefanik putting them on notice. Watch this.
Oh yeah, this was the three. This is about the anti-Semitism on campus or whatever. Okay, different topic. By the way, they answered like assholes. The presidents of those universities were complete dickheads about this stuff. So, whatever. Anyways, if I may, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. I'm sorry, this is a little like My little transition video just isn't. This is just lumpy. It's just going to be part of it. All right, now, if I may, and I think that I might, let's start in with. I don't know that these are in any particular order. Let's go with these. That's out. That's coming out. That's coming in. That's coming in. That's coming out. Okay, I don't know what. Yeah, I think this is the first one. I'm going to try and go to some degree in order, but this is Trump coming out of going into the court where he does not have to be, by the way, and the case against him is already settled. Hold on one second. 3, 2, 1. There we go. I don't know why this is all choppy. It doesn't have to be. It's totally able to handle this. All right, here we go. This is Trump walking in. Or no, okay, this is him coming out. Speaks to reporters during the break. I see. So I don't know that we have the entry.
Trump, are you considering settling the case?
So this whole thing sucks. Can we just revel in the misery real quick? Watch, back up. What? Look at him.
Trump, are you considering settling the case?
Just over it. Oh, this is so good.
Of nothing. That's come out loud and clear. This is again one of the most respected men in the country and the world on credit. We've proven many times over, even long before today, this is totally conclusive. But we've proven this is just.
It's a little glassy-eyed. There's Eric. And by the way, whose idea was it to paint his attorney's cheeks with rouge like he's an animatronic doll in a clock in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Seriously. Did Trump just go up to him and go, look, whores use rouge. Ladies pinch.
By a political system that should be ashamed of itself.
Yes, the entire political system should be ashamed of itself. Why can't a system totally feel shame?
After a political opponent. This comes from Washington. This
comes from Washington and other places where it could totally come from, and then it came from.
Biden. This case is, it's a joke.
That ought to do it. Yeah, I feel that settles. I mean, do you guys need to hear any more?
It's a joke.
It is a joke. It's a joke. And I am the punchline. How did that work?
The cash we didn't even need the loan. We had so much cash. We had far more cash than we had in the loan we're talking about.
We had so much more money, cash than the loan we're talking about. Yeah, but that was cash you got from another loan, stupid. You do realize when you take out a loan and then you turn the loan into cash by trading part of your investment in another property, that doesn't mean that's your cash.
This has come out loud and clear. I hope for the press to understand. I hope they treat.
I don't know that they did. No, you might want spell it out for them. You know what you should do? You should do the math.
Fairly, it cannot be more conclusive, and they're not finished. They're going over other figures that are even better. They're not finished because.
No, they're not finished. I mean, not obviously. Obviously, it looks bad. What happened today looks terrible, but that's only because it's in the middle. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like when you're rearranging a room or painting or something like that, like with tape on the corners and all. It just looks like shit, But it's gonna look awesome when we're done. 2 more weeks.
Years the numbers got even better.
No, they didn't. I showed you guys this morning, but Trump had to have $237 million worth of loan payments forgiven, and because he didn't repay Deutsche Bank and he threatened to sue them. Luckily, they had plenty of Russian money in their coffers. I don't know where it came from. It's just weird that way.
By the way, these loans were all paid off. Just so you understand that they were all paid off.
No, they weren't. Again. He sued Deutsche Bank for $3 billion for predatory lending, and they ended up coming to a deal where they forgave a portion of the loan.
Loans that are due or were defaulted on at all We never even got a notice of any difficulty.
Which is, again, remember what I'm telling you. Like, they told him he had 6 weeks to make good on the loan, or they were going to snatch $600 million back from him. And he sued them for $3 billion to keep him in court for a year. And then they settled on forgiving half of it because he brought in other investors, by the way, in that year.
The bank, Deutsche Bank.
But, and also hidden investors. Who are those people? You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody's allowed to know. That sounds normal.
Extremely happy. They testified. They were extremely happy. They made their full money.
They made their full money.
And some of the loans were paid off early. This is just a witch hunt with all of the problems that New York has at this horrible, absolute.
Well, yes, that's true. Of all the problems New York has, witches aren't one of them, I would like to say for the record. They do not have, I mean, I say what you will about New York witch hunts, but they seem to be very effective. There are very few illegal witches. I mean, there's clearly some witches in New York, but it's either a totally legal side hustle, and I think you have to have some kind of a permit. It's the same, the nuts for nuts vendors and the hot dog vendors. You have to have a permit like they have. You can't just freewheel it like those assholes that wrap bacon around hot dogs and sell them at night. That's not witchcraft, okay? That's not real witchcraft. I want to be clear.
Horrible. Attorney General would do this. Is disgraceful. It's a disgrace to our country.
Okay, I got to tell you, like, no business civil lawsuit from a city against a business is disgraceful to the country. Get over yourself.
And again, I should be right now in Iowa and New Hampshire.
Go to Iowa. Nobody's fucking stopping you. I'm sure there's a half-empty gymnasium you could be talking to. You could be saying all this shit right now with a corn dog in your fucking mouth. Because
South Carolina, I shouldn't be sitting in a courthouse, and I don't have
don't.
to sit here.
Right. Yeah, that kind of blows your case, doesn't it?
Hampshire, South Carolina, I shouldn't be sitting in a courthouse, and I don't have to sit here. I could just do whatever I want to do, but I want.
Right. There you go. I don't have to be sitting here. I could just do what I want to do.
Make sure that you get the true story.
But I want to make sure you get the true story. What true story? You say the same shit every time you come out.
Because this is a crooked attorney general who did this because she was running for governor and
Yeah, that's something you could never say in South Carolina
for attorney.
after talking to your attorney.
But she ran for governor. She failed badly. She got like 2% of the vote in the polls, and she went back to getting Trump. In fact, she said, "I have big things to do. I'm going to go back," and she meant, "I'm going to go back and get Trump." That was her big thing. So,
yeah, so that's how she got the job.
I just want to say it's a shame that this can happen.
It is a shame. It's a shame and a shame. It's a shammy shame.
By the way, other cases are just like this too. The D.C. case, just like this.
No, not so much.
Boxes hoax. You read the other day where they leaked out that Biden has no problem with the boxes. But
It leaked out that Biden has no problem with the boxes. Yeah, it's not the boxes he's worried about. It's the shit that's in them, dummy. What do you mean? What? Yeah, he has no problem with the boxes. It was the truck that bothered him.
What happens with that? He had probably 10 or 15 or 20 times more boxes than we did. He had about.
That's because he's an old man, and that's from his time in the Senate, stupid.
A 40 or 50-year period.
Right, because it's his senatorial papers, which are not under the Presidential Records Act, and yeah.
Leaked out, he's got no problem. But me, they go after. It's a two-tiered system of injustice.
A two-tiered system of injustice. There's two different kinds of injustice. There's leaded and unleaded, and clearly he's had the leaded.
The Attorney General in this case should be ashamed of themselves.
Ashamed of the sham. He should be ashamed of the sham. It's a shamey sham anyways.
Again, it comes out of the DOJ in Washington, the White House.
Yeah. It's a good thing he's not in Iowa or South Carolina, because somebody there might mention that he's already said that.
Because they want to try and
That's the thing about the Midwest and the South. Sometimes they'll go, "Hey man, didn't you just say that same shit? Like, are you just gonna say that? Excuse me, I'm Glenn Barnes Toledo from the Raleigh Herald. Real quick, you keep saying the same shit over and over again. I can't tell if you're doing it on purpose, like it's some sort of propaganda thing, because you allegedly had that book of Hitler speeches on your nightstand or whatever, and you're doing it on purpose, or do you just fucking not know? Because it does matter. I just need to write this down. My editor keeps asking me why my notes all look the same. I keep coming back. I swear to God, every time I come sit out here after your court cases, I could just turn in the exact same notes from the last time.
An opponent so that he can win, so that we can have another 4 years of squalor. We can have
4 years of squalor. 3.7% unemployment and another robust jobs report and huge gains in manufacturing jobs and
another 4
squalor.
years of millions of people coming in from jails and mental institutions.
Is that where you came from? You mean pouring into the New York court system?
Pouring into our country.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the cartels setting up a water slide for all the lunatics.
This is what's happened to our country.
By the way, I don't know if I may be mistaken on this, but you guys would know in the chat room. Haven't the cartels started using catapults to just fling the lunatics over the wall? I thought I saw that somewhere. Is that how they do it? Or is it kind of a slingshot thing where they, instead of going boing like that, they whip them around a couple times so they're nice and dizzy when they come over and stuff. And then, of course, they throw a bunch of like kitchen knives afterwards and, and they land around and then they can just pick up whichever one feels best, right?
Nation, because of stuff like this. You heard things today that nobody knew. Because
yes, nobody knew that crooked something, sham something, DOJ something, political opponent something.
A private company. I am a private company.
You are a private company? I'm on the Brute Squad. You are the Brute Squad. What?
That nobody knew because I was a private company. I am a private company.
He is a private company. I mean, hey, maybe Mitt Romney was right after all. Maybe corporations are people. In this case, corporations are assholes.
And the numbers are great. Now, the other thing, if you notice, 2011.
The numbers are great. I'm a corporation, and the numbers are great. I really am 215 pounds and 6'3".
That's long beyond the statute of limitations.
Oh, by the way, this is the other thing, too. Is like, I'm guilty, but you missed your shot.
That's 12, 13 years ago we're talking about. The statute.
Yeah, but you kept using the lie over and over again. You kept re-upping it. And so just because the first original draft of the document was this thing, doesn't mean if you keep using it, the crime re-ups every time. Do you understand? Like, to use a smoking gun reference, if you buy a gun a long time ago and you shoot somebody with it, and you keep shooting somebody with it, even though there's no, let's say it was assault the first time, you can't get busted for the assault the first time if it's beyond the statute of limitations. They find out you used that gun in an assault 20 years ago and no, you were never charged for it, but they can still charge you for the murders you commit now, right?
Limitations is like 5, 6 at a max, but like 5 years. We're talking about, she sued us in 2011, but these loans were all paid off. There's nobody injured. They call.
Hi, stupid. Look, he has not been found guilty of stuff in this court. They're not dealing with punishment for those crimes. He's not been found. Nope. He's not been found guilty of those things because they are past the statute of limitations. What they're showing is a pattern of behavior. The idea is that I did this once, I won't do it again, or I did this once before, I've always done it, and if you let me, I will do it again forever. And that's the punishment that they're looking at. So that he can't get fined for these things that are beyond this certain point, and already the fine is too big anyways. But they also can't stop him. Like, they can use that as an example that he won't stop doing this. They have to look at his pattern of behavior.
There's no victims. The banks love Trump.
No.
A lot of loans weren't paid off, but they weren't by me.
Ooh, what?
The banks love Trump. A lot of loans weren't paid off, but they weren't by me.
they weren't paid off, but they weren't paid off by not paid off by you?
It is a great company. You heard what they said. Even the bank said this is a great company. One of the best. I think they said the best company that they deal with.
No, I guarantee they didn't say that.
And this is what I have to go through. Fraud from...
By the way, if this is the best company they deal with, that means everyone else they deal with is the mob. It's the only company with most of our stuff is like drug runners and stuff like that. We just at least know that these dumbasses aren't going to end up, killing one of our relatives.
Fraudulent attorney general that valued a incredible club in Florida that's worth 50 to 100 times more than they put down, but they fraudulently valued it low. This,
by the way, using his argument for why the taxes should be lower on the property.
Woman should be under investigation for what she did. She's a disgrace.
Well, that's gotta hurt. Being called a disgrace by you. Has anybody checked on her? We should make sure. Check the ledges around New York, honestly, because this guy thinks she's a disgrace. That's got to hit.
I did hear the judge say that he's going to take it under advisement when we said you have to clear our name of that fraud, because when he ruled the way he did, he didn't know anything about the case. He didn't know. He ruled against me. He didn't know anything about the case. Now he sees
Yeah, he did.
things from the leading expert, the leading person, a man who's...
Yeah, the leading person. Of all the people, this guy's in front.
...the Pulitzer Committee. Most respected person.
Wait, he's on the Pulitzer Committee? Who?
Leading person, a man who sits on the Pulitzer Committee. Most respected person, the Stern School, NYU, top professor. A very honest man, too, by the way, very honorable. If he didn't agree, he wouldn't say what he's saying. And he said these were incredible loans. I didn't even need the money. So here's the story. I hope you write it fairly, because we have a very...
I didn't even need the money. Your Honor, that's the funny thing. I robbed the bank for shits and giggles. Yeah, I didn't even... It's funny. Like, sure, a guard was killed and a bunch of other shit happened, but Your Honor, you don't understand. I didn't even need the money from the bank. It was just exciting. You know what I mean? I just like, wow, let's rob a bank. It's a Wednesday.
Corrupt country. We have a very corrupt political...
Yes, this is the guy that Trump paid $900,000, his paid expert witness.
...system, and they're doing this to hurt a political opponent.
Well, if they're doing it, then apparently, according to you, it isn't working, so I don't know why you'd be upset about it. I would just, if I were you, I would shut down my business in New York and move, all of my business enterprises to Florida, where I know the governor personally and he likes me.
Third world country stuff, this is banana republic stuff, and it's a shame. It's a shame what's happening to our country. Thank you very much.
It's a shame what's happening to our country. Thank you very much. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Look at the picture on this Happy Hanukkah thing. Watch, former President Trump releases Hanukkah message. Look at his face. Happy Hanukkah. Yelling. Wait, we have to...
I want to wish everyone a very happy Hanukkah.
Everybody? What if we don't celebrate Hanukkah? What if, I guess, what are you going to shove Hanukkah down our throats? I'm just kidding.
The miracle of Hanukkah began more than 2,000 years ago when a proud band of Jewish patriots courageously stood up and reclaimed their freedom, their faith, and their traditions from an oppressive tyrant.
It's basically just like me. I'm Moses. Biden is the Pharaoh. I'm also the Spartans and the Jews. Also, I might be the golden cow.
At great victory, the Jewish heroes prepared to rededicate the Holy Temple.
Honest to God, whoever's idea it was to create a Wikipedia reader that uses his voice, it was a mistake. It's a mistake.
Found only enough oil to light the lamp for one night, yet by the grace of the Almighty, the flames radiated for 8 days and 8 nights. Ever since, the menorah has been a symbol of Jewish perseverance. And
ever since then, The menorah.
Ever since the menorah has
Yeah, no. Ever since the menorah wasn't the cause of it. Ever since then, the menorah has been a... Never mind.
flames radiated for 8 days and 8 nights. Ever since the menorah has been a symbol of Jewish perseverance in the face of oppression and of God's hope, mercy, and love in times of hardship.
You can tell it's all like... You can see how heartfelt it is? It gets even more heartfelt after the edit right here.
Of oppression and of God's hope, mercy, and love in times of hardship. This Hanukkah season, Jewish Americans and people all over the world.
Jesus Christ. I had no idea Hanukkah was a reverse mortgage scheme.
Still reeling from the monstrous Hamas terror.
The monsters are monster.
And people all over
Fuck me.
the world are still reeling from the monstrous Hamas terror attacks on
The monsters are monster attacks.
innocent men, women, and children. To everyone touched by these barbaric atrocities, we pray that God will bring you healing, comfort, and peace.
Yeah, you know, healing, comfort, and peace. Just whip those out. Don't... Whatever you do, don't hesitate on those words and infuse them with meaning at all. It's best really to just blaze right through them. Just healing, comfort, and peace. Just get them out of the way. I know you're uncomfortable with those words, so just say them, throw them away. You know what I mean? Just throw them away.
We recommit ourselves to extinguishing the evil of anti-Semitism from the earth. We reaffirm the everlasting solidarity with the Jewish people, and we go forward confident with God's help.
With God's help, like our own spiritual GPS.
And light will overcome this horrible darkness.
This darkness, okay.
Help. In the end, light will overcome.
Jesus Christ, this is terrible.
Confident with God's help. In the end, light will overcome this horrible darkness. Once again, happy Hanukkah and God bless you all. I want
Just, oh God, it's so painful. Just he always talks like a spiky turd negotiating its way out of a cow's backside. Just like everything is just so constipated. Okay, here's another break. I don't know if is this the same break or is this another break? It's hard to tell, like I said, because it's the same shit.
Well, I think it's going very well. It's another day that we've been proven totally innocent. The expert witness, one of the most respected people in the country.
Honest to God, what the fuck is up with his attorney's cheeks? What the shit is? What is that? He looks. Honest to God, next time I see you, if you don't look like an elf made out of apples, you're fucking fired. I don't know. Honest to God, that is so odd. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. I am the deep state. Like, subscribe, etc. I can save shit. So I think we saw it's going great, except the part that sucks and are an abomination and a shame, but it's a great shame.
Major corporations, you heard it all.
No, they didn't. Stupid. Nobody was in there.
He's at the Stern School of Business at NYU, a top professor. He reviewed fully the documents that this horrendous Attorney General put.
Horrendous. She's wow. First she's she's a disgrace, and now she's horrendous. I don't know how she can take this kind of abuse. Without giggling too much. I'm worried that she'll split her side laughing at this dickhead.
And he found absolutely no fraud accounting. Fraud of any kind.
No, none whatsoever. This one dude who I paid $900K to didn't find anything. My expert witness for the defense didn't find any fraud at all. Now, obviously, I was very selective in the documents I had him review. Sure.
This is a highly respected man. I don't know him.
Well, that you know what that means. The next time we hear from this guy, he's going to come out and go, had I known what I've just found out, I never would have said what I said in court. And of course, Donald Trump is a horrible, horrible person, and I wouldn't let him near any of my female relatives unless they each had a live fired chainsaw as it happened, and I would never vote for him in a million years. And then suddenly he'll become a Democrat who just got him coffee.
But he's a expert witness.
Yes, we know you hired an expert witness. He's just a professional witness for the business class. You don't say.
And he found no fraud.
It's amazing. Not even on nothing even remotely. It's weird. There's this whole case, and he didn't find anything that could be even construed. So he's an expert at selective reading?
Whatsoever. He found no accounting fraud whatsoever. And like everyone else, he said, what are we doing here?
Like everyone else, he said, what are we doing here? You're getting paid to be an expert witness, I think.
What are we doing here? This is a political witch hunt. This is meant to influence an election. This also comes from the White House.
Well, why would it?
This is not just a state matter, because the White House is controlling district attorneys. In fact,
Yeah, but I thought why would you think that? She ran on going after you. Why would she need to be controlled? Again, I don't understand. If Letitia James is horrendous and a disgrace, and she, ran on getting Trump, and that was singularly her thing, why would she need to be pushed by the White House to do it? Wouldn't they just sit back and go, holy shit, she's got it. I don't know. You guys need to give her anything? Nah, I'm good. She's going to go further than we would go. Shit.
Attorney's office, they put one of their top people, DOJ put one of their top people right under the Attorney General, put him into the district attorney's office, also put a man into the state Attorney General's office, Letitia James' office.
Right, but again, she ran on doing this, so did she request those people because they had awareness of the case? That's an interesting question.
Happened to be the same man. This is coming right from the White House.
Happened to be the same man. So there's one person in two different roles that you're talking about. Okay.
Disgraceful situation.
It is disgraceful. It's horrendous and disgraceful. It's a horrendous disgrace. The whole thing. It's a sham witch hunt. Hoax.
Never seen anything like it.
Never seen anything like that. And probably like no one's ever seen before. And they're going to win big league.
But this expert witness, highly respected by everybody.
Everybody. You respect him. I don't know who he is, but I respect him already.
With a resume that few people have ever seen before.
Yeah, listen to this.
Everybody. With a resume that few people have ever seen before.
With a resume that few people have ever seen before. What? He's that respected, but nobody knows what his resume is? What? What is that?
By everybody. With a resume that few people have ever seen before.
Honestly, I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know what he thinks. Few people have ever seen better than few people have ever seen before. He has a secret resume. Yeah, his LinkedIn is completely blocked.
There was no fraud. There was no accounting fraud. There was nothing.
There was nothing. There was no business. There was no money. The name Trump didn't even show up on the documents.
And this is what we're doing here while people are being murdered right outside on the sidewalks and the streets of New York, while people are.
For the record, there are a certain number. It's a huge city, and it is New York after all. And there's a certain number of people that get killed on the streets and the sidewalks over time because of just the sheer volume. But I gotta say, statistically speaking, most of the people that get killed in New York are just like anybody else who get killed. They get killed inside. They get killed in buildings, in apartments. Most people know who kills them personally. Maybe it's too much Law and Order, but I always assume most of the murders in New York happen in stairwells.
experiencing horrible, violent crime at levels that nobody's ever seen in this city before.
Well, you know what? You know why that is? It's because somebody covered these crimes up with that guy's resume. And apparently it makes things invisible.
This is what the Attorney General's spending all the time on. So just to put it, finally, he's going to continue to testify.
Just to put it mildly?
So just to put it, finally, he's going to continue.
Just to put it finally. You know what? I take it back. You're great at riffing.
To testify, but I don't imagine he's going to be changing his basic statement. His finding is that there was no accounting fraud whatsoever. The statements that we put in were very conservative. They were the opposite of what they said. The accounting fraud and the fraud was a...
Yeah, again, why can't he be in South Carolina and Iowa and say the same shit? Like, it's a fucking broken record anyways. You could play a broken record on any turntable.
The judge and the Attorney General who took assets and made them numbers that were fraudulent.
Took assets and made them numbers that are fraudulent. The best words. I mean, who am I to argue?
As an example, Mar-a-Lago. As an example, Doral in Miami. As
Okay, that Doral.
example, 40 Wall Street.
40 Wall Street. Oh, you mean the building that you said had 10 more floors than it actually does?
And others.
And that's 100%, has 0 vacancies and is like 40% vacant?
Where they cut the values to a level that nobody's even imagined.
Nobody can imagine that value. Well, you know, I have to say, 0 is almost impossible on a philosophical level to imagine because it is total nothingness. And, you know, I think it was Jean-Paul Sartre who said, how do you spell Sartre?
Look at Doral and look at the numbers that we're talking about for Doral. But the most obvious of all, because of the fact that people know it, is when you value a place like Mar-a-Lago at $18 million when it's worth anywhere from 50 to 100 times that amount. We had an expert witness in the other day. He's the biggest broker in the country for luxury properties. I guess he's the ultimate expert, actually.
Yeah, ultimately.
And he valued Mar-a-Lago at over $1 billion. And the judge valued it at $18 million. The judge doesn't know the value of Mar-a-Lago. And
Yeah, look, we brought in a guy that we paid to say it's worth $1 billion. Now, could I sell it for that? Of course not. And would anybody buy it for that? Of course not. But I could say that.
the Attorney General is the one that convinced the judge to say that. It's a fraud. The whole case is a fraud. What they've done is they've weaponized justice, and this is coming from the White House.
Really? So you're saying that they're going after you and Hunter Biden?
Because I'm beating Biden by a lot. And this is coming right out of the White House. You know it, I know it, and they know it. So just to end this.
Yes, please just end this.
The expert witness, one of the most highly respected people in the country for
Who's got a resume no one has ever seen.
this kind of work, found absolutely no
This kind of work, by this kind of work, he means being an expert witness for rich dickheads trying to avoid, their comeuppance in court.
accounting fraud. This case should be ended. Also, the judge,
Oh, I thought you were going to end it.
as you know, was rebuked in that he was overturned
Oh, no.
by the appellate division of the New York State Supreme Court, which is a higher court, much higher court than where we are right now.
By the way, he means the parts that were the parts of the case that involved stuff that was past the statute of limitations. So the judge did not factor that part of it in the money, but just the pattern of behavior. This is really about the dissolution of the company. Like everything that he's done inside the statute of limitations warrants the $250 million fine that they're looking at, and he knows it, and everybody knows it. The difference is it could go up to 600 if he thinks this guy did it with like a wanton disregard for the rules and did it flippantly and is dragging the court through all this shit. He can stack dollars on top of that. That's why when Don Jr. was talking, it was like every word he uttered cost his dad another $1 million. But on top of that, it wasn't so much about the fine again, but that the statute of limitations couldn't apply to like the guilt of the company because there's plenty now to cover that part of it. They just couldn't deal with some other aspect of the civil, again, the criminal aspect of it. In a civil trial, it doesn't, I don't even know why it would matter if the city is suing you for this kind of stuff. They just couldn't make up, or they just go, yeah, he was an asshole back then. We just can't charge him for it. But again, dissolution and $250 million is all based on the figures that he's done since the absolute back end of the statute of limitations. The problem is he's been engaged in the same criminality for way longer, and they keep bringing it up. So he seems to think he's being fined or found guilty because of that stuff. And the appellate court's like, no, there's a statute of limitations. But they're like, everything past that, that's why he qualifies for this $250 million in dissolution ruling, which he's already been. There's plenty. And here's the thing. You spell this out as best I can. Trump says that the appellate court, they won on 90%. And that this 10% that he's been found guilty on, this is what they're working on the punishment for. Which means that think of all the fraud and all the double dealing and the bank versus the IRS bullshit and his lying about his properties and the size of them and the quality of them and the number of vacancies and all that kind of stuff, and understand that the stuff he's being busted for is only 10% of how much he actually did it. Everything previous to that, he's 90% of the time, 100% of the time, he's been a philandering crook. But he's only getting busted for 10% of his crooked philandering. The other 90% of the time, he was doing the same shit. That when he says we would, we beat the case or we won on 90%, means we didn't have to. But he beat it because he didn't have to pay fines or be found guilty of stuff that he was guilty of simply because of the statute of limitations, not because he didn't do something wrong.
To acknowledge it, this case would be over. Because that was about 90% of the case.
That's that part.
Into a statute of limitations. This case should be over. This case should have never been brought. This was a political witch hunt by an attorney general who's out of control.
She is. I can barely hear you over her screaming.
And tried to get elected governor and failed. But this is a political...
That's really... It's interesting because recently you tried to get elected president and failed. I mean, you did it once, but, so did Jimmy Carter and George H.W. Bush.
Witch hunt, and our country should be ashamed of what's going on. But
you're what?
A political witch hunt, and our country should be ashamed of what's...
Yeah, we're really not. I got to tell you, we're not. I think we're doing okay. I think a lot of your fans are freaking out, but...
Going on. But we will probably go forward.
Wait, is somebody playing Mario Brothers in the background? Listen.
Of what's going on. But we will...
There it is. Did somebody just get a mushroom or an extra gold coin?
Go forward, and I'm sure nothing will have any bearing on what this judge does. It's a very sad day for our country. Because
again, I'm feeling all right.
People are coming in. We could say this every day.
You do say this every day, stupid, and it doesn't change anything.
And we are totally innocent. This is weaponization of justice. This is something that nobody's ever seen to this extent.
Well, yeah, because we've never had a crook like you in office before.
Election interference. It's a sad day for our country.
Is it a sad day for our country, though? Has he brought that up yet? Someone asked the court stenographer to read back the remarks.
Like this can take place. I'm sitting in a courthouse instead of being in Iowa, where I should be.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Even though I'm leading by about 40 points.
Yeah, so why do you have to go to Iowa? I'm leading by about 40 points in empty gymnasiums. In the half filling a gymnasium category, I'm leading. Who's got a solid bald spot happening today? Just giving up. Okay, so that's the other one we went to. Let's kill that. Oh, yeah. So I don't lose track. This is Jesus Christ. Does he say the same thing every day? This is the next one. He didn't take nearly as much time. They take a short break at one point. Let me guess, something fraud, disgrace, should have never been brought, valuable properties. Have you been injured at home or on the job? Would you like to be? That's why we heard Mario. He's one of his attorney. Makes a lot of sense. Gloom, 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 dum, 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 dum.
The Attorney General.
What did you think of last night's debate?
The Attorney General committed
Somebody yelled, "What do you think of last night's debate?"
fraud, and you just saw it right up there. She's a fraud. This whole case is a fraud. It's election.
You call me a fraud, I call you a fraud. I call you a fraud. You're a fraud. You're a fraud. I'm not a fraud. You're a fraud. That's what this is.
It's keeping me.
I'm some say a rubber ball, you know, and Letitia James is a glue, and whatever she says bounces off me and sticks to peekaboo, because
Here instead of Iowa and New Hampshire.
Go.
You just saw it.
No, I didn't just see it. Go. I saw you in Iowa. It wasn't impressive.
Attorney General's a fraud. She committed fraud.
It's just like, that's it. Just a fraud. If I say fraud, I should say fraud again. And then once I'm done saying fraud, I'll say fraud again. And then now she's a fraud. See how it works? And bald spot. Yep. There's just nobody on bald spot watch anymore. They've just kind of blown it off. I think he's just like, who gives a shit?
Okay, coming back after lunch. Are you coming back?
And the waddle is rough. All right, so that was that one. And then there's the Happy Hanukkah. And then is this? Yeah, here's the showing. This is the end. This is the last one, I think. This is the one him coming out. By the way, you're watching House Parks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Subscribing really would help. We're close to 60K. We're so excited to get 60K so I can worry about 65. Let's do this.
Mr. Trump, a group of New York senators has asked the Board of Elections to keep you off next year's ballot in New York. What is your response to that?
So today was a very good day.
He's just blowing off the question. You're not my... Someone was supposed to plant a question about how today went.
Today we proved yet again, every day we do, that this was an amazing company, has more cash than the loans. We have much bigger cash than any of the loans.
We have much bigger cash than in the loans.
We paid back in full. There was no problem with the loans. The bank was very happy. They testified. Everything was perfect. And it's a disgrace that this case goes forward. And it shouldn't go forward. The other thing we're asking is that, and we're asking actually the media to look at, we won, as you know, in the Court of Appeals. And the judge refuses to honor.
Oh yeah, this is the thing he keeps hammering the most, because again, he's been found guilty on 10% of this stuff already. Like the 10, whatever he says, 90%, which again is just his assertion of how much versus it's just like something in the order of like 13 of the charges versus 100 charges, that they were going to bring against him. They narrowed it down, which happens all the time. You just go for the bigger charges and you conflate some charges and put them together. The appellate court will say that's a double charge of the same thing, and so they'll knock stuff off, or they'll make you coordinate. Plus, you can't afford to even go after some of just the volume of charges, so they killed some of them and whatever. But now in the penalty phase, the judge is looking back at what kind of businessman, what kind of human being Trump has been, and that reflects on whether or not he's going to lose his business license, which in New York State, which is what this is really about right now. The money part of it, he's going to fight and bitch about and try to throw a monkey wrench in it and all this other stuff. But the business license thing, that's done, because even if they put a temporary stay on it, it's not going to hold, and then he's going to have to shut down his business there. And it's also one of the easiest things he can do. So.
Victory. This is a first that anybody can find. When you win in the Court of Appeals, the judge has no choice but to honor it. This judge didn't. This was like something happened a number of years ago where a developer had zoning, and the zoning was done and completed, and this judge didn't like the zoning, so he vetoed it, and he said he's not going to allow the building to be built, and then the Court of Appeals overturned him. But this is a...
Is it? Did you guys get that? That's the story. It was like this judge, and I don't know if he means literally in ground or this judge in his head had a problem with zoning and just let the zoning go and whatever. It's just silly. Hold on. Back up.
The zoning, so he vetoed it, and he said he's not going to allow the building to be built, and then the Court of Appeals overturned him. But this is...
What building would that be? Is it? Do we don't even care about the detail at all?
A case that should have never been brought. This is a witch hunt. This is election interference at a level that has never seen before. It comes out.
Yes, this is a witch hunt that no one, that at a level never has seen before.
This is a witch hunt. This is election interference at a level that has never seen before.
Has never seen before. Just I guess he's just dropping pronouns and proper nouns out of sentences now. Is that where we are?
The DOJ and the White House in order to hurt a political opponent, and actually it's...
Sorry, to what?
In order to hurt a political opponent, and actually it's driving up my pulse because the people of our country get it. Our poll numbers are the highest I've ever had, and the people of our country get it. It's a disgrace to America. Thank you very much.
Do you think expert testimony has changed the judge's mind?
Oh, there's Eric. Give him the tap again. Remember the last time, whenever it's a bad day, Eric touches him, which is kind of sweet. But you could tell that Eric has jockeyed up ahead of Don Jr. as the favorite son lately, largely because Trump threw him under the bus and made him culpable in more of this. This is why he had to plead the fifth 400 times in his deposition, the same way Trump did, whereas Don Jr. and Ivanka could both answer questions because they didn't do any of the document signing that they're talking about. So they're both in the same boat. That this is, and it might also be that a lot of this is Eric's fault. That Eric was dumb and overt about stuff that he should have been more covert about, and he knows it. So there's a couple of times where he's putting his hands on his dad when he's left. Either one, because his dad seems like he's sundowning and he's stressed out and he's seeing him for real whenever they leave the place. But also this little bit of like guilt taps, right? You know what I mean? Because he's been wigging out during this entire thing as well. Okay, so the next thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Marge. So one of the problems that the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, there was apparently a deal made between the House and Senate about getting it passed. The attempts by Republicans to get the Israel and Ukraine aid through with the border funding attached to it didn't meet the 60-vote threshold, and one of the Republicans filibustered it because of, I think, Ukraine aid in it, or not enough border stuff or whatever, Tuberville kind of reason that they were going to give. So, but the NDAA, apparently they have a deal made which is making the usual suspects flip out. So here we'll go. Let's hear the take on it from the I guess the woman with the biggest green battery company in her district in Georgia.
NDAA is complete. I have been assigned to be a conferee on the conference. Here, we're going to follow me. We're getting in an elevator.
Yeah, let's get in that elevator. She's a conferee in the conference in.
And we didn't get to participate at all.
Well, yeah, but it was like math involved and national security, two things you should be nowhere near.
In fact, the whole NDAA deal was made between Speaker Johnson, Chuck Schumer, and the House committee.
Terrible. You mean the people who actually have to get it passed? Terrible. That's terrible. Hold on one second. I have to check one thing. This? I feel like there is a... Yeah. Okay, and then the color correction thing, which is very odd. Saturation of this guy, and then the, I don't know why this. Was so odd. It got so orange, all the, All right. So, anyways, that's a little better. I look sepia tone, but who cares? Continue.
And people like me, we didn't get to participate, and we were appointed.
Well, people like you shouldn't be allowed to participate. You're an inserious flack who was engaged in an insurrection against the country.
Participate to make sure no money for abortion, no money for trans, for members like me standing up for Americans who are sick and tired of funding the Ukraine war. We had taken the $300 million out of the defense bill. Well, let me tell you what the final product is in the deal that was made.
Uh-oh.
So the policy is in place, that funding is there for abortion travel.
Uh-huh.
Policy is still in place for trans and the military and everything that goes with it. Democrat trans policy, Democrat abortion policy.
Cool.
$300 million for Ukraine is back in the NDAA, even though
Excellent.
had worked hard to take it out. It's back in.
Oops.
And furthermore, here's the worst news.
Oh, the worst news. This is going to get good.
It gets a clean FISA extension through April.
Well, it's. I don't know if that's the worst / best news, but it's pretty close.
No change to the FISA court whatsoever. Nothing changed, and that deal was made also. So just wanted to give you a heads up. I'll be flat out no to this NDAA, and I think it's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the proof I need that it's a good bill and a good use of U.S. taxpayer money. If you hate it, that's a good sign.
That this happened with our Republican-controlled Congress.
Like you have 2-vote majority right now that's about to go to 1, actually. So, I mean, I wouldn't even hold Mike Johnson's feet to the fire, to use a torture analogy, for that, because what's he going to do? You guys are this close. Oh, wait, there was another. Oh, this is the Trump inside the room. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel much better about the NDAA all of a sudden. It's so weird. Yeah, she's ridiculous. All right, here we go. This is, and by the way, does that show up on, there it is. Look at that. Okay, wait, okay. Let's see, throw this on here. Okay. So fun. Keep on rocking the free world. Screw you, March. Exactly. Okay, so this is Trump inside the courtroom. Enjoy. They followed him in, and they do one of those like setups, the same one that they got that shot of Eric staring like he was getting ready for his serial killer mugshot. Oh, look how mad. It's so good. Please enjoy this. Zoom in on him. Zoom in. Oh, the glowering. Oh, he's mad. Yeah, okay, so here's what happened. This is at the beginning of the day. He knew who his experts were going to be for the day and what they were going to say, but he had a talk with his attorneys, more than likely, that said this is not going to benefit us in this court because we don't believe the judge is going to listen to our guy or think our guy's telling the truth or any of that. So just know that we're probably, it's not going to benefit us on the ground here, maybe in the future when we appeal whatever ruling we get. And he just hated that news, so he walked in mad, and he's staying that way. But right now, yeah, he's making soup in his pants. Oh, I'm mad. And I gotta say, it looks like he's mad at her. This has got a very Trump-Melania energy to it. See what I mean? I'm fine with misreading this, but I don't care. It's like, I don't give a shit about either of these idiots. She's awful. She's the one who talked that woman who was sexually assaulted at Mar-a-Lago out of, filing a legit claim. So, hell with her. Both of them are pissed. This guy on the end's like, that ain't my problem. Wee. If he fires me, I just go back to the tree to make more cookies. And then they'll whip. He's so mad. This is what losing
Okay, thank you very
looks
much.
like. Yeah, this time they didn't even spin around and look at Engeron. Anyways, that's it. This poor guy. Looks like a character on Only Murders in the Building. Yeah, so... it's such a glorious thing, isn't it? Hold on one second. Let's go back to this. Yeah. So let me go to... Let's see what we got. And is that... Oh, maybe this is the one where he's walking. Okay, yeah. So this will be when he walks in. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. 1 second. Okay, there we go. This is when he actually came to court this morning. This is before the day went poorly, but after he'd had this conversation I just told you about with his attorneys.
Yesterday, there's a reaction to the governors taking shots at you yesterday with your president from yesterday.
Yeah, look how mad he's already upset, and she looks like he's just yelled at her.
Governors taking shots at you yesterday with your president.
Yeah. There's something up. There was just an exchange before they went to court. Either they don't want him there, or they just basically had to break it to him that the judge isn't going to take their quote-unquote expert seriously or something. Whew. That's rough. Watch her again.
There's a reaction to the governors taking shots at you yesterday with your president from yesterday. What is your reaction to the governors taking shots?
Just soldiering, miserable.
Thank you very much, everybody, and we appreciate you being here. This is a witch hunt, the likes of which probably nobody has ever seen.
Well, I mean, I have read The Crucible. I'm going to guess that there have been witch hunts that were worse. Most of them involved witches. A lot of them dying, I'm going to guess. Hence the name.
Put on a case that is absolutely 100%. There's not a judge in the country that wouldn't have given us a total victory, but there's not a judge in the country that would have even taken this case. This is a witch hunt.
Well, apparently not, because you have a judge who's...
And it's a very corrupt trial.
Totally corrupt.
Now, we won this case. We won this case at the appellate division. Most of it would cover about 90% of the case.
Oops, pause there.
We won this case at the appellate division, and this judge refuses to acknowledge the appellate division. He said very specifically, we're going forward because there's something wrong.
Jesus.
This case was won at the appellate division, and the judge refuses to do what the appellate division demands he do.
Yeah, what he wants is he wants the judge to not look at anything that happened before the statute of limitations because it paints him in a bad light, not because he doesn't deserve it.
Nobody's ever seen anything like this. When you win at the appellate division, that's your high court. The judge has to be bound by what their decision is. Well, we won at the appellate division.
You totally did.
Part of that victory was Ivanka not having to put herself through this, and they ruled that. But the bigger part of it was that about.
Oh yeah, this is how he got 90%. This is the idea. And so real quick, so 90% of this case was Ivanka doesn't have to be included, which I guess of his adult children, that's 30%. So the other 60% is statute of limitations, which again is not exactly him saying I'm innocent, just saying you didn't catch me soon enough.
90% because it's statute of limitations.
Right, yeah, there you go. So this is yeah, mainly because you didn't catch me sooner at my crime. And
90% of the case disappears. So remember this. We won the case at
the crimes don't, but the case does in his estimation.
Appellate Division, the High Court, and this judge refuses to acknowledge that victory or that demand.
It must suck.
And that's very serious. So
very serious.
Now we have an expert witness, one of the great experts in the country.
Well, that's good. As an expert witness, he should be an expert. One of the great experts in the country, you say.
And I hope you'll.
What's his name?
Be able to listen to him, but it'll.
What's his name?
Be another day. If you look at the case, we did nothing.
By the way, this is the quality of the video from there. As you can see, the chyron below. It's not the video I'm using. This is literally the quality that was on site from whoever posted this.
There were no victims. The bank loves us. The bank testified. They love us.
Yeah, bankers love you. You must be a good person.
Absolutely nothing wrong. We never even defaulted. We never had a default letter sent to us. The bank said we were a perfect customer. The bank didn't even know why they were here. And yet you have people being murdered outside. All over the streets, they're being murdered.
The people from the bank murdered people?
Crime. And this attorney general who's crazed. She's a lunatic.
All right, well then I guess you can't blame her actions on her, her behavior on her attitude towards you. She's a crazy, but she's mentally ill, and so I mean, she's completely innocent then.
General sits here because she knows that she has a judge, and no matter all the evidence, that judge is going to rule in her favor. He ruled against me before the case even started. The case hadn't started. He knew nothing, and he ruled against me. The other thing is this. He valued Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, because that was good for her case, at a value of $18 million, when in fact it's worth anywhere from 50 to 100 times that amount. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, but just...
By the way, what he means is that the surrounding equal-sized land of other properties that can be developed is worth about that. The problem is you can't sell it for that. The city, the Palm Beach County won't let you. It's a historic site, so you can't do anything with it. It's got to always stay Mar-a-Lago, and it's always got to stay a club. And since you can't live on it, and you can't sell it as such, you can't sell condos in it or anything like that, you can't develop the land around it, it's useless to any other developer. That's why it's going to end up being surrounded by high-rises as they buy up these other mansions and bulldoze them.
For what I said at the beginning, the appellate division, and this judge refuses to honor that victory or that decision or that demand.
Mr. Judge, why did you say you were a dictator? Did you watch the
And then he just bugs off. Yeah, that's just crap video on that one. I think he's just having a meltdown, so he just looks like that. Hold on real quick. By the way, don't forget, hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe. Thanks for subscribing, Craig, on Twitch as well. Appreciate it. And also, show this afternoon. Yay! Thanks, Doc. I'm trying and get through. Oh, and Cheryl, thank you for the super chat this morning. I want to remind everybody that. Appreciate it. Don't forget super chats, and there's the Venmo if you feel like supporting the show. Buy me a coffee, what have you. And then, of course, patreon.com/HalSparks. So, last thing. Let's see if we can get to this. All right, Matt. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me. I'll show you a piece of something. Oh, and I got to show you the. I don't know if the. I'm gonna see CSL if the thumbnail comes up on this one, because we kind of got to see it to just. Okay. yeah, so let me bring this up in a second. There is a, if I may, where is it? There was, oh, I know what it was. It was Rosanna. I just don't know if the thumbnail will pop up in this. Yeah, here it is. Jesus. I don't know if, yeah, no. Hold on. I wish I could just, here, I'll show you the, that's part of it. Pretty hilarious. This is the thumbnail for this Roseanne clip right here. Her in a cowboy hat with this white shirt and a machine gun. That's so. And this is what you get, though. This is what you want. This is what you get. This is what you want. This is what you get. So, also, I don't know. I know Roseanne was looking for that necklace. I think I might know where it is. But this is live from her bedroom, which I horrified at the notion because her son films this for her. Okay, but that's not important. Chris Salcedo, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Salcedo, the salty pedo. I'm kidding. I don't even know, quite frankly, that this video has any worth to us at all. It's mainly about the main chyron I wanted to show you. This is on Newsmax. This is while Trump is on his trial and while he's, on his weird hard fade, being stupid and all that. Let's see, hold on. Mar-a-Lago, Spanish for Sea to Lake, is a resort national landmark in Palm Beach, Florida, owned by 1985 Donald Trump, was built for businesswoman and socialite Marjorie Merriweather Post between 1924 and 27. During the 20s, Florida land boom. At the time of her death in 1973, Post bequeathed the property to the National Park Service, hoping it could be used for state visits or as a winter White House. And he bought it, and he had to promise to do the same thing because he bought it from the state. There you go. Yeah, live from her bedroom. Totally gross. Okay, so this is Salcedo. Americans alone, the parties abandon our people. I don't know why this is a quote, but this is it. Chris Salcedo, the parties have abandoned our people, which is, again, him attacking Democrats, not news. This is equating the Democrats and Republicans being the same group. Whenever they do this, it's bad on the Republican side. That they're just this. Even the whole uniparty story is them recognizing just what a pitiful minority they are at this point.
As you know, I've been sounding the alarm about the uniparty for some.
Right. Oh, there you go. Okay. So the uniparty is this kind of fallback, version. This is like Illuminati for dummies.
Now, I've done so in recognition that despite divided government, the GOP gets nothing, while the Democrats get a rubber stamp.
Also, stupid. They have a 4-vote majority. They can't get anything major done. What in the world standard are you holding them to? I mean, I appreciate that he's abandoning the Republicans and leaving, just being a dickhead about it. I do. I like that. I appreciate it. I'm glad, that he's inconsistent and stupid and weak and unsupportive and habitually an asshole. But if I disassociate from the entire thing, isn't this just you being shitty?
Recent events have only bolstered the truth of my observations.
No. What recent events? That they've lost a couple of votes from their majority, specifically Santos and McCarthy, who's going to be gone by the end of the year?
Americans alone, the parties abandon our people. That's my report in today's
Yeah, that's just dumb.
preamble.
The preamble. That quote that's below me is a quote from my face.
Say there are conservatives and 1 or 2 Democrats who still believe in America, our mutual compact, the Constitution, and preserving our way of life. But they
that's why we got a infrastructure bill passed.
Nowhere near a majority in that Congress. In fact,
certainly the Republicans don't have a genuine majority anyways.
Conservatives are being boxed out of any decision making, even representing their own voters in Congress. More on that in a minute.
And he does mean moron.
But let's go over some recent headlines that prove the GOP leadership, in collusion with the Marxists, have a...
In collusion with the Marxists. I didn't realize they were... are you sure they're colluding with the Marxists? They're not just Marxists themselves, and this was all a big plot?
...in the freedom, prosperity, and security of the American people, and have done so with an un-American double standard.
Oh.
The GOP showed great passion and determination at reducing and thinning their majority even more when they voted not once, not twice, but 3 times to expel George Santos.
I see. So this is a violation of the values and ethics of the conservative movement, getting rid of this guy because it costs you a vote. And so it's better to keep that vote and this scumbag than get rid of him. Stay classy.
From the House, a guy accused of being a pretty bad dude.
A pretty bad dude. And among other dudes.
The GOP Congress has not voted once on measures attached to must-pass bills to defend you from socialist Democrats.
Must-pass bills. They've done budgetary stuff. They passed the CR.
Much less voted on them 3 times.
Well, if it's a must-pass, most of them don't have to be voted on more than once.
On the other hand, how do Republicans treat Democrats? Well,
depends on the Democrat, I guess.
Adam Schiff knowingly and demonstrably lied to the country about President Trump, in particular in a phone conversation with Ukraine's president. For his dishonesty in an official proceeding of the U.S. Congress, Adam Schiff was censured. No real-world penalty for his weaponization of the trust placed.
Oh, look at him. And here he is pictured with his wife being nice to gay people. This is terrible. He should just be censured again. Also, they do know that the entire text of the phone call was in the record. So when Schiff was going, basically Trump was using mob speak, he was interpreting how Trump talks, and Michael Cohen agreed with him about that. The guy who worked for him and fixed his problems for years, it wasn't like instead of putting in, I guess, head of the committee, instead of putting in the text of the phone call, he just made up what Trump said. Like this, it's one of the dumbest arguments they make.
Him as head of the Intelligence Committee. Intelligence he dishonestly used against fellow Americans. The GOP...
Well, in all fairness, Republicans would do that, but they have no intelligence, so...
had the chance to dissuade future Democrats from ever doing something like that again. Those who love our country know that politics cannot be allowed into such arenas as intelligence and defense.
Oh, you mean when Trump didn't listen to his intelligence community about the threat that Putin played and spoke openly about that, and of course invited them into the Oval Office and during that meeting apparently gave them information on Israeli spies, and one of them ended up dying? You mean like that?
But the GOP opted not to penalize Schiff in the pocketbook for his abuse of our people.
How did he abuse our people? So the idea is that maggots are so lazy that they think that when someone puts evidence into the record, it doesn't have any weight. What has weight is what people say out loud in their 5-minute preamble. If they bother to ask a question of somebody that's a witness before a committee, that's maybe a little part of it, but mostly it's whatever they can yammer about. It's the yammering that constitutes evidence. No wonder this is how all your people behave.
The GOP wasn't done. Squad member and accused anti-Semite Jamal Bowman was also censured by the GOP. Bowman, one of the more militant anti-American extremists in the
militant
party.
I think he almost said melanin, and that, had to stop himself.
Admitted his guilt in the crime of pulling down a fire alarm when there was no fire. It was an act that disrupted an official proceeding of Congress. Remember, the GOP voted 3 times to expel an accused fellow Republican out of the House.
Well, the idea was that the door was locked, and if you pull the fire alarm, the door will open, and he could get out that way, and he was trying to rush because he was being lazy and stupid.
The GOP could only manage to censure an admitted criminal Democrat.
An admitted criminal. and a criminal that committed a crime that most of us probably were guilty of in high school at least once.
Now, to all of you GOP voters out there, how does it make you feel knowing that the party you elected to the majority in the U.S. House is more interested in attacking their own than stopping Democrats and protecting you?
Well, you're not talking to me, but I'm enjoying it. I find it, these are popcorn days.
In fact, the GOP can't even apply equal standards.
Nope, clearly not. All right, I didn't need to watch any more of this. This is the same yammer that he's been putting forward, and nobody gives a rat's ass. But I think it's an important distinction, if I may. And I don't know why my little transition thing doesn't pop over there. We'll do one little piece before we go. Yikes. Yeah, and by the way, this is what people were talking about, if I may. This bit about Trump expert witness paid nearly $900,000 for testimony in the fraud case. Courtier's Eli Bartoff, professor at NYU, has worked about 650 hours on New York fraud case at a rate of $1,350 an hour as an expert witness. An accounting expert who came to Donald Trump's defense in his $250 million fraud racket has racked up nearly $900,000 in fees for his testimony in court heard on Friday. New York University Stern School of Business researcher Professor Eli Bartoff testified on Thursday that he found no evidence here of concealment in his review of the financial statements at the heart of the case. By the way, you think one of the other reasons, very possibly, that Trump was mad was because Bartoff said, I'm not testifying unless the check clears, unless you write me a check. You owe me for this expert testimony. I'm not going to go testify and then wait for the check to clear. You pay me now, or I'm not going up there. And that happened this morning. And he was like, he had to write it, and he had to put it in the bank and go, I don't know. This needs, when this check clears, I'll go, or you wire the money to me directly. Let's see. Bartoff, in a deposition taken in July, he disclosed that he was being paid $1,350 an hour to work on the case. In court, he said he had now worked up about 650 hours on the case, which would total $877,500. According to ABC, the prosecution's sole expert witness, Michael McCarty, chairman and chief executive at the investment bank Dillon and Company, was paid about $350,000 for his testimony. That's the prosecution's thing. Questioned by lawyers from New York's Attorney General, Bartoff said the money had come from the Trump Organization and the former president's Political Action Committee, Save America. So congratulations, donors. You're paying that guy's bills. Trump, his older sons, and executives at the company are charged with exaggerating the value. We know this. After Bartoff's testimony on Thursday, Trump told reporters he found absolutely no fraud, accounting fraud of any kind. This is a highly respected man. I don't know him, but he's an expert witness. Trump will testify for the second time on Monday. Bartoff will return to the stand on Tuesday. There he is. Alternative gap definitions of value, fair value. This is what this guy's saying. That's supposedly Bartoff right there. And that's their exactly. That's fun. That's good stuff. Okay, so then, last little bit. We're not going to do all of this one either because I'm going to bug off and rejoin the fam for some fun. But this is Matthew Whitaker, who was the former acting attorney general under Trump, when he was purging everybody from the government and filling these roles, these spots with sycophants in his final days in office. He's one of the guys he put in there, and I guess he's talking about the Hunter Biden indictment. And I just like the quote on this. Matt Whitaker, this is worse than it appears. If that doesn't sum up where these guys are, I don't know what does.
All right, we begin with a Fox News alert. The president's son, Hunter Biden, has been indicted. This happened late last night.
Obviously, the weaponization of the DOJ and Joe Biden is puppeting the DOJ and making them attack his own son.
9 tax-related charges. 3 of them are felonies brought by Special Counsel David Weiss. Yesterday, this came through. Meanwhile, Weiss, quote, said this: the defendant spent his money on drugs, escorts and girlfriends, luxury hotels, rental properties, exotic cars, clothing, and other items of personal nature. In short, everything but his taxes. Hunter's accused of avoiding paying $1.4 million in taxes over a 4-year period. Here's what...
Weird. It's almost like it's 0.5% of the taxes Trump avoided paying.
Speaker Newt Gingrich had to say last night.
Oh, Newt Gingrich. I know him. Wasn't he the guy... the devout Catholic who's only been married once and never would think of giving his wife divorce papers, making her sign them after she was coming out of cancer surgery? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I think at a practical level, when you look at all the information, what you have is essentially what
By the way, this is also the guy that brought you Whitewater.
in the recent newsletter, the Delaware Sopranos. The
Delaware Sopranos. That's great. That's, yeah. While you're at it, why don't you give me the Toledo Scarface while you're at it?
A crime family. They were willing to sell out the interest of the United States.
What would that interest be? What name me one policy change?
As somebody said the other day, you now have in effect a Chinese-Russian paid agent sitting in the Oval Office.
Yeah, somebody stupid. Yeah.
Hunter faces up to 17 years in prison on those charges. And guys, remember, for the longest time, we heard the IRS whistleblower say we wanted to bring this in California, and David Weiss said no. We wanted to bring it to D.C. David Weiss said no, and then they asked David Weiss, like, no, I don't think that really happened. Now he gets a special prosecutor status, and it seems like it happened.
Yes, when he's given the ability to direct where the case goes, as opposed to it being directed by whoever wants to charge it, it happens in California. Like, again,
I get.
Clearly, Joe Biden is forcing this.
It's not over, but in the big picture, Abbe Lowell has fired back his attorney, an attorney somebody else is paying. Evidently, he is broke. He does not have a job. And then they're going to paint it as it's a Hunter problem, not a Joe problem. But as we analyze this...
Well, no, it's actually the job of someone who would be prosecuting this or presenting what you believe is you have to prove it's a Joe problem, not a Hunter problem. That would be, in our system of jurisprudence, that would be important.
This is very much a Joe problem.
Oh, yeah, it is. And I think they're
totally
building the case of connection with Joe Biden just because they said, look, he's struggling with alcohol, drugs, and all of this. But they also said he was a great businessman, and that's in the indictment.
Smartest man Joe knew.
Exactly. Matt Whitaker is the former acting attorney general.
Well, I got to say that if you can be that successful in business while you're on crack, it's impressive. I mean, you have to understand, these are all people who had Mike Pillow on the regular.
It's now this morning. So, Matt, I'm reading the indictment. If you go to page 34, it goes through all of his business expenses. But they really aren't business expenses. This is him paying the prostitutes and all of this.
Yeah, the prostitutes.
But
they were adorable. By the way, in case you don't know, a prostitute is like a prostitute, but they're much shorter.
Something different in this indictment. They go through his book and his memoir, and this is what he said in his memoir. The thieves, junkies, petty dealers, over-the-hill strippers, con artists, and assorted hanger-ons, who then invited their friends and associates in most recent hookups. They latched on to me and didn't go, all with my approval. I never slept. There was no clock. Day bled into night, and night into day.
Right, yeah, it sounds like a story of addiction. Sounds like a good read, actually. I got to say, that's some rock-solid prose.
Things by Hunter Biden via the court. So he's talking about
his addiction. Yeah, we're aware.
Addiction in the book while still saying he was a businessman.
He was.
He has all these accounts that he's charged for all of these things, claiming them to be business expenses, and the court is saying, the prosecution said, that's not true. He was living a lavish lifestyle. He said it in his book. He has contempt for the court.
By the way, they've already been paid. He's being charged with paying them too late.
Yeah, and it's good to be with you all.
It is.
You know, if you read through this indictment, I think David Weiss tries to cover himself, because remember, Weiss is the same person that tried to, give him a deferred agreement on the gun and do a misdemeanor tax charge. And this is at least 6 felonies. You have tax evasion, you have filing false tax returns, and you have a failure to file. And remember, the thing, Lawrence, that is so frustrating about this is the 2 most prosperous years for Hunter Biden, 2014 and 2015, were allowed to expire under the statute of limitations. Yep. And so, this to me really seems...
Well, again, Trump is literally claiming that 90% of his case is, he's free of it because of the statute of limitations. You can't have it both ways.
David Weiss has found religion to some extent and decided to just hammer him with charges, but these are the appropriate charges because these tax years, Hunter was just willing to spend all his money, not pay anything in taxes, and not even file a tax return up until 2020 when his friend in California decided, well, your dad's running for president, so we better get all these taxes cleaned up, and you better pay these taxes. I mean, it's the story couldn't be worse for Hunter, but the way he...
Well, sure it could. He could have just not paid him through 2020, not had any friends that would help him like that, not having any relationships that would salvage him during that time. He could have died of a drug overdose. He could be another fentanyl death. It could go a lot worse.
It also can't just be explained away as something to do with his addiction. This is someone that just chose not to pay his taxes. And when he finally...
Yeah, addicts are always pretty good about that.
Did file tax returns, he filed false tax returns with all those expenses you described.
Matt, what does this mean for the president, and what do you think
nothing
happened to Hunter Biden going forward? Because he could spend 17 years behind bars.
Yeah, I think it's there's two sides of this coin for the president. Obviously, his son has done some very bad things with the influence peddling, not paying his taxes. But ultimately, what's happening in the House is the more interesting thing with this same money is how much of it ended up in Joe Biden's pocket, how much of it ended up in other family.
I don't know. I think accusing Joe Biden of stripping is a bridge too far.
Pockets. And, I think if you go back to the one message that Hunter Biden sent to his own...
Really, the WhatsApp? You mean the one in 2017?
Daughter, where he said,
Oh, right. No, he's talking about the one who giving dad half my money or whatever.
Had to give 50% of his money to his father, Joe Biden. I think that's a very interesting issue that ultimately Jim Comer and others in the House are going to have to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, they're already at the bottom of it. Basically, this was the period where they were holding his money because he was snorting it all. That's the period they're talking about.
That's just what Eric Holder had to say. He was Attorney General under President Obama. Yeah. He was his wingman. He said this he said, I asked the Republicans and Democrats, would you have brought these charges against Hunter? And he said this. In fact, let's listen.
I've spoken to former colleagues, both Republican and Democrat, who were United States attorneys, and I asked them, you had these facts in your office, would you have brought this case? And the answer to a person was no. This is not a case that we would have brought, that there would have been some kind of resolution along the lines that was suggested in the possible plea agreement.
Right, that happens all the time. That's absolutely true. I mean, look at Trump's taxes.
Department, by and large, and there have been exceptions, is really an institution that is anti-political, that is politically neutral, that really just follows the facts and the law and makes determinations on that basis.
He was never neutral.
Unbelievable.
He was never neutral.
They're so mad. Anyways, I got to let you guys go because I'm going to try to spend the rest of the night with the fam and that kind of stuff. I'll see you guys. Oh, God, sorry about that. I didn't mean to drop Roseanne into your lap. That was just rude. Thank you, guys. By the way, take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the radio program. Hopefully the tech will work out tomorrow. Boy, that's the big dice roll, isn't it? Wish me luck, and thank you guys so much. Don't forget to hit that like on your way out or on your way in next time, or if you're watching this later and you're like, hey, that really helps. It really, really does. And also subscribe. Somewhere, they always tell you that like 70% of the people that watch your show aren't subscribed. I think it's 118%. So I've done the math. I hired an expert from New York to come in and do that for me, and these are numbers he's never even seen before, because he doesn't do numbers. Anyways. Have a great night, and I'm off to Disneyland.